Well, I suppose the thing that sort of catapulted me into cancer genetics was a very personal story, because my husband, being a gastroenterologist, he was looking after a young woman who had colon cancer, and he found out that she was, I think she was in her 40s or something, and she'd already had uterine cancer. And he came and mentioned it to me, just saying how odd this was. And he also said she looked a bit like my cousin, and he eventually talked to her, and it turned out that she was my cousin's wife's mother. And so at the time it really wasn't very well known about Lynch syndrome and that kind of thing, but I did know about Lynch syndrome, and I knew that Joan Slack was running a clinic at St Mark's Hospital where she assessed people's family histories and so on, and arranged screening if she thought that they were at an increased risk of colon cancer mainly. But she did also arrange gynecological screening for women in those Lynch, quote, Lynch syndrome families. Although the efficiency of that kind of screening really hadn't been established at all, although she had established a bit of the efficiency of efficacy rather of screening for colon cancer. So anyway, it took me rather a long time to screw up my courage to ring up my cousin's wife to talk to her about this, because I thought it was a bit intrusive, but eventually I did, and she was actually amazingly receptive. I remember exactly where I was sitting at the time. And so she agreed to go and see Joan Slack, and Joan said, oh yes, you probably ought to be screened. And so indeed she did start, she got put on the ladder for screening, but it turned out she was pregnant. So everything got put back by 9 months, so that all took rather a long time to get organised. And after she'd had the baby, it turned out that she had ovarian cancer, and tragically she died. So of course that was very, very shattering. And actually, if you can be sort of disconnect from what you feel about it, it was quite interesting. Later on we did see the whole family for genetic counselling, and it turned out that they had a huge family history of cancer, and nobody had ever sort of thought about it in terms of whether it meant that they were at increased risk or not. So that the sort of previous knowledge about the importance of family history of cancer hadn't really got above the surface.